Good evening. My name is Derek Jones. I am a student at Indiana Tech, and I am in the professional communication class, and I will do my final presentation on affirmative action. I will be discussing how affirmative action has helped minorities as well as women. My presentation is entitled Evening the Playing Field: How Corporations Have Progressed Through Affirmative Action to Create Opportunities for Minorities. Companies before the 1960s were very stereotypical. White men controlled the companies and ran many of the higher-up offices. There was typically no room for advancement for minorities and women. Many jobs were barred for minorities and women to even apply to, let alone be employed within. Education was also barred for minorities in higher education facilities, this caused many opportunities to diminish for African Americans. Affirmative action makes sure that educational institutions, workplaces, and other institutions reflect our diverse community. Generally, women and minorities face obstacles in gaining admission in higher educational institutions and workplaces. These obstacles include a gap in standardized tests, a dearth in availability of advanced placement classes in predominantly minority schools, and lingering class differences and income gaps. Therefore, to ensure a diverse student body and subsequently diverse workplace, admissions and employment policies that balance out these obstacles are still sorely necessary. How did affirmative action come about? And who was meant to reap its benefits? In the 1950s, civil rights activists successfully challenged segregation in the education, food, and transportation realms, to name a few. Due to the thriving civil rights movement, President John F. Kennedy issued Executive Order 10925 in 1961. The order made reference to affirmative action as a means in which to end discrimination. Affirmative action prioritizes the placement of underrepresented groups in sectors from which they are categorically barred in the past, including the workplace and the academy. Back then, African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanics, and Native Americans faced a wide range of barriers because of their racial backgrounds, from being forced to live in segregated neighborhoods to being denied adequate medical care and fair access to employment. Because of discrimination these groups faced, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was created and functioned in part to eliminate employment discrimination. The year after the act passed, President Lyndon Johnson issued Executive Order 11246, which mandated that federal contractors practice affirmative action to develop diversity in the workplace and end race-based discrimination, among other sorts. By the late 1960s, educational institutions were using affirmative action to diversify the nation's colleges. On September 24, 1965, Lyndon B. Johnson signed Executive Order 11246, therefore replacing Executive Order 10925 and affirming the federal government's commitment to promote the full realization of equal opportunity employment through a positive, continuing program in each executive department and agency. It is notable that affirmative action was not extended to women until Executive Order 11375, amended Executive Order 11246 on October 13, 1967, expanding the definition to include sex. Presently, affirmative action expressed through Executive Order 11246 considered factors of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. In the U.S., affirmative action's original purpose was to pressure institutions into compliance with non-discrimination mandate of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The Civil Rights Act did not cover veterans, people with disabilities, or people over 40. These groups are protected from discrimination under different laws. In 1963, President Kennedy also signed a equal pay, which sought to end wage discrimination. At the time, for every dollar that a man earned, a woman would only earn 59 cents of that dollar, and this was dated in 1963. As of 2010, for every dollar that a man earns, a woman now earns 77 cents. Now, let's face it, the wages still aren't equal, but affirmative action has definitely helped to narrow that gap. Benefits of affirmative action for African Americans include that it has helped to balance the workplace environment, allowing new opportunities for advancement for African Americans. It has also offset racial injustice in the market, such as allowing African Americans to apply for any job that they deem necessary and fit to fill the position. It's increased diversity in many major American corporations such as Chrysler, Ford, and GM. How has affirmative action helped women? It's given new opportunities that were once barred from women, such as higher education. With this new higher education, it has also opened new jobs for women. Women have been known to have been the primary beneficiary of affirmative action since the very beginning. Affirmative action benefits today include that women make up 47% of the workforce. Now let's break that down into general categories. White women are 63% of the workforce for that 47% of women. Black women make up 13%. Hispanic women make up 13% as well. And Asian women round out at 5%. On a national level, President Obama has worked towards equality. He's also put in place the National Equal Pay Enforcement Task Force. Affirmative action has been categorized as reverse discrimination, but it indeed is not that. It is actually a tool that is placed as evening the playing field. In conclusion, from the very beginning, affirmative action has been beneficial to African Americans and to women. But it's also benefited our country as well because it's made our workplaces very diverse. It's also helped to provide educational opportunities for men of African descent as well as women of all descents. And it's created new opportunities in the workplace. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you've enjoyed.